China will invade Taiwan. Xi Jinping made that very clear when he sent 38 fighter jets flying over to the island as a little gift for Communist China's National Day. I mean, he's made it clear pretty much since he became president, but now he's shown that he has no intentions of being patient. But why? Well, we'll get to that in a few seconds, but what's not often discussed is what the world will actually look like the day after the invasion, and how that will affect your life. And that's what we'll discuss today. First, let's have a look at why this war is going to happen in the first place. The conflict between People's Republic of China and the Republic of China, aka Taiwan, is a relic of the post-World War II era. From a time when the world had just finished the bloodiest war in history, and the powers that had defeated fascism were now gearing up to destroy each other over a disagreement around the means of production. China was having an even more dreadful time. After over a century of colonial wars and civil wars, it had just been destroyed by the Japanese, and when the Japanese were defeated, it fell into another civil war for another few years. Finally, the left-wing communists won this civil war, and the right-wing nationalists and most of the aristocracy had to flee to this little island called Taiwan. Mao Zedong kind of failed to invade Taiwan for reasons beyond this video, and both countries have been calling themselves the one and only China since. For decades, most of the world accepted Taiwan as that one China, until in 1979, during the Carter administration, America decided that actually no, the one China is based in Beijing, but they may not attack the other China based in Taipei. And in the decades that followed, both Chinas changed a lot. Taiwan has managed to become a full democracy, a very proud one. And they've developed a national identity separate from the Chinese one. 60% of Taiwanese citizens now consider themselves Taiwanese and not Chinese. They've also built this fantastic economy that supplies the vast majority of the world's semiconductors, pretty much manufactures most of the world's tech devices and a lot of other stuff, including medical equipment. Meanwhile, China has opened up, grown miraculously fast, and has become a superpower, and has come a long way to become a lot more authoritarian and aggressive. Both countries have also become very economically entangled and dependent on each other. Mostly a policy of the CCP to isolate the Taiwanese economy and really dependent on the mainland to make the idea of a peaceful integration more appealing to the Taiwanese. One thing hasn't changed on either side though. Both countries still claim to be the one and only China. Taiwan stands ever firmer that it will not surrender its democracy to be part of a totalitarian communist dictatorship, and China has made it very clear that it will not accept Taiwanese sovereignty. To put it in one sentence, if Taiwan doesn't give up, which it probably won't, then Xi Jinping will invade it. There's no deadline, but it could be as early as 2025. It's part of his political campaign, and he wants the reunification of China to be his legacy. And since America has sorta semi-guaranteed the independence of Taiwan, it will have to defend it one way or another. But how will all of this affect you? America and China are both nuclear powers. So if America actually decides to make a move, it could very quickly escalate into a total global conflict, aka World War III. But I don't think either side would really want that. If it comes to that, then it won't really matter because we won't get to see much of life anymore. I'm sure there are plenty of videos you can watch to see what will happen in the event of a global nuclear war. But that's not likely to happen. America has never said it will directly go to war with China over Taiwan. And the country just ended its longest war disastrously. So disastrously that its president couldn't even face his own people to answer questions about his performance. Let's just say it won't be easy for Biden to justify another war with a global superpower right now. So let's put the unimaginable assumption of total war aside for now. The next likeliest scenario is that America will militarily assist Taiwan, but not actually engage with the People's Liberation Army, or in the worst case have a limited conflict with China which would end in a ceasefire or treaty, but then push the world into a full-on Cold War. Yes, Cold War II. The most immediate effect of it in the event that China actually annexes Taiwan is that America will lose all of its alliances and power in Asia, its global power will diminish, and the Pax Americana will just collapse. That could be a good news or a horrible news depending on where in the world you're from and what your political stances are. Now, I have and will be making a lot of videos explaining how a world in a Cold War would look like, so make sure to subscribe to catch those. But for now, let's keep it focused on Taiwan. We should consider that Taiwan is the lord of the chips, the supreme producer of semiconductors for the entirety of the world's supply chains. Not that long ago, and this is still an ongoing situation, basically all of the world's manufacturing came to a screeching pause because a pandemic made the demand for these semiconductors a little too unpredictable. Now imagine, in the event of a war, these factories get, bombed to dust, or if the island is put under siege where no ships can leave or enter. This would put the global economy into a deep recession. This is a pretty good justification for China and America and Europe to achieve semiconductor self-sufficiency, of course, but that could take decades and billions of dollars. Now, both as a lead-up to and an aftermath of Taiwan's invasion and the emergence of a new Cold War, there'll be a huge decoupling, mainly economically, of the West, the US and its allies, and the East, China and its allies. The international community will have to, one way or another, punish China for, invading another country. The best way to do this would be to economically isolate China. So a lot of the effects of jobs leaving to China may be reversed in your country, especially in the US, but also pretty much all of the products mass produced in China right now will become extremely expensive, at least until Western countries start building their own fully automated factories to cancel out the high wages and start building their new supply chains. This decoupling will take a while though. China is smart. They've signed a lot of long-term contracts with developed nations to stop them from just straight up cutting economic ties. They've also spent a lot of effort convincing countries to stop recognizing Taiwan, so a majority of countries, especially European ones, might not even care. They don't really want to be involved in this messy divorce of two of the most powerful nations on Earth. Only time will tell what really the global consequences of this inevitable invasion will be. It depends on a lot of unknown variables, but the least of it is the loss of a lot of human lives, a new arms race, economic recession, and a massive division in the world that could last decades and even lead to World War III. Let me know what you think of this mess in the comments down below, and if you want to see more high quality videos on this topic and more, consider supporting this channel on Patreon. See you next time.